Hey guys, I'm Doctor McFarland, and in this video, we're going to answer the question, how many amps and effects can you really put into a preset? So I saw this question on the forum today, and it seemed like a good topic to go over. So let's go ahead and add a few amps and effects blocks and see what really the limits are. So first, let's look at the difference between what a combo amp and a half stack versus just a head is. Because depending on what you choose can greatly determine how many other things you can really put into a preset. So usually with combo amps, that may include a convolution reverb along with the speaker cabinet, because most Fender amps have a reverb and a tremolo already built in, but maybe some of the Marshall amps or EVH or Friedman does not come necessarily with its own spring reverb built into the amp block itself. So if we add a combo amp, I can choose maybe a Princeton reverb, and this is going to be its own thing with its speed, intensity, reverb, bass, treble, and volume parameters already built in. But also, let's go ahead and add in another combo amp, and you can see already that we have the Twin, the Super Reverb, the Deluxe, and the Princeton grayed out, which means we have a lot less options that we did before. But if we look through the rest of our options here, then we still have plenty of things we could add. So if we added in, let's say, EVH Red, for instance. So now we have an amp and a cab and a combo amp in the same rig, and this might take up a lot more DSP than you think. So now looking at our options, yeah, we have no other amps we can really add in here, especially the combo amp options. So looking at the amp heads though, we do have a lot more options as far as amp heads goes. And then looking at the cabinets, we can see a lot of these are already grayed out. And what else can we do? So what we can do is basically start over at this point. Let's go ahead and remove these. And what I'm going to suggest is either add a cab or an IR block first, and then just use amp heads the rest of the time. And you'll be amazed at how much more you can add into a preset at that point. So let's go to cabs, for instance. Now I like the creamback for most things. And it doesn't really matter at this point what microphone that we choose, but we will just choose the SM57, okay? So now, with the cab already in the signal chain, if we add an amp now, we're not going to get that swarm of bees type of sound that you get if you don't have a speaker in the chain, which is not a great sound in the first place. So now looking at our options, we're going to go to amp heads, and everything is pretty much ready to go. I didn't see anything grayed out there. So let's just go for example that this one person on the forum was wanting to do, and he wanted to add 2 British 800 heads to the rig. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's make sure that you're in the amp heads category, because this is really important to do it this way. All right, so we're going to add the British 800. And just for fun, let's go and see what else we have available. So we don't want to mess with combo amps. We don't want to mess with half stacks, even though we can technically add a half stack if we want. But since we already have a speaker cab in the signal path, we don't really need to deal with anything else. But as far as amp heads go, I can add pretty much everything else that I want. So let's add in a double rec. And you can see this is going to get pretty insane pretty fast. Okay, we have some other options that are now grayed out, but not a big deal. The Saldanios, the Tangerines, those are out. Maybe we want to add maybe like a Marksman Channel 1. Okay, so lots of different options here. And who's to say that we really need 4 amp heads in a single chain? But hey, you can go wild if you want to. Okay, let's go to effects now. And we can see that our drives are limited, our fuzzes are limited. We can add a flange or a tremolo. You can kind of quickly see that we're using up a lot of the DSP that we really don't need to be. So that's just a little test there that, hey, just because you can add some things, maybe you shouldn't. So let's go ahead and get rid of our Mesa Boogie. and our other Mesa Boogie. So we have 2 amp heads and a cab. Let's go toward the end here, and let's make sure we at least add in a nice reverb. And at this point, we have 0 limitations as far as reverbs we can add. So let's go ahead and add a large hall reverb just to give us a little bit of space. Let's add a few more things. Maybe we'll add a delay afterwards as well. We have all the delay options available to us. The echo tank is really cool, and that was added in the previous firmware update. And maybe I want to add some stomp boxes here. So pay attention to the blues maker and the royal tone. The green box is always good. The Nashville Overdrive is a fan favorite among the Nashville session guys here. Tube Overdrive sounds amazing. There's really some good options in here. So let's just go with the blues maker, and maybe we add one more, and let's do the green box. Okay. Let's go ahead and add in a compressor. Maybe we'll do a simple compressor. And let's get a little crazy here. Let's go with some filter and pitch. Let's add in a custom wah. And that's about it. So as you can see, as long as you don't overdo it on the amps and the cab side of things, you have pretty much free reign is what you want to add into the signal path. Let's go a little bit more crazy here on the reverbs because we can. And at this point, we do have a lot of the reverbs blanked out, but the cloud reverb is really nice. So let's add in the cloud reverb. And there we go. So at this point, we can see that, okay, we have a wall, we have a compressor, 2 overdrive pedals, 2 amp heads, a cab, a echo tank, large hall reverb, and a cloud. Let's just see for fun if we can add a little modulation stuff in here. And we have a little bit of options, not much. Maybe we'll do a tremolo, which is always nice. I usually like adding a phaser or a flange before. Our phaser is out of the question, but let's do a electric phaser, which is based on the Electric Mistress, and that pedal is great. So at this point, you can really go for a kitchen sink type of preset where you try to cram everything possible into the same signal chain. But depending on the context, you might be able to make just a few presets and kind of spread the wealth a little bit as far as what's needed in each preset, and then just switch between those. And you can still get into the foot switch mode when you need to turn things on and off, or even use the new switch link option to go a little deeper into switching things on and off and also changing parameters and so forth. So I hope that makes sense about adding items to your preset and really not trying to overdo it, but just trying to make the presets as simple as you can. And remember, you don't have to get your dirt from an amp. You can also get it from an overdrive pedal, which can sound really good as well. So we'll go over that in future videos. But in the meantime, you can subscribe down below and click the bell. And I am Dr. McFarland. I will see you in the next video.